Welcome to the Red Review with me, Jeremy Brim. The Red Review is brought to you by Growth Ignition, the transformation and capability development business, all in the work-winning space, and the Bid Toolkit, its product set in bid process and training videos. Hello and welcome to the Red Review with me, Jeremy Brim. We've got an exciting episode this week. We're announcing a new partnership with PI, the proposal industry experts. We pre-recorded an episode all the way back in December, just before Christmas. And so you might notice a couple of references to things time-wise that have long gone by now. We were getting a bit overly prepared, I guess. But I'm joined by Ben Klien from the PI community. I hope you enjoy the episode.
So Ben, let's do a bit of an intro about you and then we'll get to talking about PI. So tell me a bit about yourself first of all, chap.
Sure, absolutely. My name is Ben Klien. I am the owner of Geek Proposals. We are a proposal response firm in British Columbia, Canada. So a good, part of the crown, I guess. Member of the crown? I don't know. Anyways,
yeah, just about.
Yeah, just about. I've been in business, I want to say 15 years, approximately 15 years. And in that time, I've had everything. I've had construction proposals, commercial proposals. I've done some government business. I've even been on the other side. I was asked by the city of Vancouver briefly to help them build a proposal and help manage some contractor stuff. So I've really seen a lot of the industry. But like I think many of us, I just kind of fell into it, right? I was actually running a different company at the time. My wife and I owned a property management firm. I think you would call it like an estate management firm, maybe, or an estate planning firm, or something like that in the UK. But ultimately, we managed condominium developments on behalf of the strata council, so the internal members, and we also looked after rental properties on behalf of the owners. And in the part of managing those condominium rentals, we released RFPs. So we would, do really small construction RFPs for like managing their weatherproofing or like any major upgrades that they had to have, re-roofing and stuff like that. We'd send out tenders. And one of the construction firms actually reached out to me after one of them and said, "Hey, listen, I just want to say, like, it's such a pleasure to respond to your RFPs. Like, they're so well put together. I don't have any confusion about what I need to deliver. Like, I feel confident in like that." What I'm sending across to you, like makes sense because everything is well laid out. We thought through a lot of it. And he's like, "Have you ever thought about responding to them?" and I said, "No, of course I haven't." And he said, "It would really be helpful if I could have someone on my team that would be willing to like help respond to these." And I said, "Sure, I'm really busy right now, but like maybe in the future." And the future came a lot quicker than we expected. And so I reached out to him at one point, and that's how I kind of started down this path. It was really kind of a learning process. I think, like most of us, he didn't have an internal team. It was himself as the owner of the company, plus a business development specialist, kind of like throwing these two things together on the fly. They didn't have a library. I didn't understand the concept of a library. Like, what did we say previously? Like, none of that was in existence. But that's how I got into the business, and it's how I got excited. And then over time, that developed into like more customers taking me on through referral business. And then I was like, oh, well, I need to actually start a company around this, and I need to build infrastructure to support this. And that's where we are now 15 years later. So there you have it. That's me in a nutshell.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. It's good fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hard at times being a consultant in this space, but generally good fun. Although when we catch up on calls and things, you've always got lots of plate spinning. There's a lot going on, isn't there? You're a busy chap.
Yeah. It's true. I've said in the past that I don't do a whole lot of marketing because I worry that I might get overly busy and not be able to satisfy clients. And sometimes it does feel like that. Strangely, like knock on wood, I saw your post on LinkedIn about one of the major organizations releasing an RFP over the holidays, and you feeling like that was just bad form. That is my life normally over the holidays. Like, it is just an expectation that I will have like 12 or 13 municipalities shoving bids through the door to try to get a project on the books before the start of the next year. And that's just the nature of my industry. So I'm excited that you called it out, because it is very poor procurement. But yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely, for some reason or another in the UK, it's worse this year than ever before. I think it's to do with our new Procurement Act coming into force post Brexit. It was meant to be October, and it's now going to be February next year. So I think clients are punting stuff out willy nilly all over the place, and so lots of my friends are very, very busy. So I'm really pleased I don't do that for a living anymore. I just train people largely. And just pick a handful of tenders to play with each year just to stay sharp, because it sounds horrendous. But anyway, and we won't dip into the horror show of Crown Commercial Services bids here and all of their fun and games. I think within 2 weeks of a tender being out, there are 800 odd clarifications on it because their documents are so pants. But anyway, we'll move on. We'll move on. So we're here to talk about pie, Ben. So.
Yep.
Not the refreshing dessert, proposal industry experts, a community. So we've had colleagues on the podcast a couple of times in the past in different flavours, but we best start again in terms of what pie is about, where we find ourselves now, and then we can talk about where we're going with it next year.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, Pi was founded 2 years ago, by myself, Rin, and a woman named Olivia. And in that time, we've had some changes in the leadership structure, but right now it's myself and Rochelle. But ultimately, it goes back to my background, right? Like, I fell into proposals. There was no academic rigor or pathway that took me to this place. There was no real training outside of mentorship by individuals that I met within the industry. There really wasn't a lot. And so, to say that I did a number of missteps in my journey is such an understatement. And I think that a lot of us don't really understand the role very well, and don't understand the positioning. And there really felt like there was a need to help in that area, and like bring some people together to start talking about the industry, start thinking about like the industry in different ways, and advocating for themselves, and also just to like support each other, from an emotional bent. Like, for example, I go into clients sometimes and I will see individuals who, and I think the UK does a really good job of this, where they've really indicated that there is a bid and there is a proposal kind of profession. And those have slightly different, areas of responsibility. But in a lot of organizations within North America, that is not true. You could have an admin specialist running proposals and stuff like that. You could have a very experienced salesperson, or you could have someone, who's had like communications or marketing writing. Anyways, long and short is that I think that we've done a disservice even to corporations. They don't understand where the proposal role fits. And so we wanted to create Pi as this positive community where we could start like thinking about these things, thinking about these thoughts, delivering really innovative training, but also delivering support on how people can like advocate and make a position for themselves solidly within inside their organization. So we aren't just looking at like what are the technical skills that get you there, though of course we supply that and a lot of people ask for it. We are also looking at like how do you position yourself from a career standpoint inside your organization? Like how do you approach your leadership? How do you look at the proposal role, the proposal processes, and help develop what is honestly a really fun role when it's done right, and a really, can I say shit on this podcast? No, we can bleep that out.
Yeah, we can.
Sorry.
But it used to be really sweary in a previous generation. I'm trying my best to be a good boy. So I try not to swear so much, but you're very welcome. People don't take offense. They're probably too used to me doing it.
But it could be a really bad role when it's not structured correctly. And that's why we wanted that community. We want people to like come in and be able to ask those questions like, hey, this just happened to me. Like this was the experience with a procurement specialist or something like that. And be able to like talk to people who've been in the industry for a long time and like walk through that. When I first started responding to proposals, I assumed that every letter inside that document was like effectively the word of God, and I would respond in that way. And of course, that level of perfectionism did not help us win bids, right? But at the same time, there is an understanding that has to be developed around what is the customer asking for? How do we message properly? How do we actually find like value and fit and everything like that? Like all of these are learned things, and that's the difficulty, is that there aren't a lot of organizations just providing more casual nature, and that's why we wanted Pi. We wanted a place that was a little bit fun, a little bit enjoyable, a place where they could form friendships, but more importantly, form networking and professional opportunities for them to really help accelerate their career by seeking advice or mentorship within this organization. So that was long and rambly. I apologize.
No, but it was bang on. It was good.
Yep.
Thank you. And the interesting bit I found as a member in the community, and people that reach out to me separately and talk about the fact they're members, etc., is very often they're quite high performing people. Now, very often with professional associations and things, you get a lot of people attracted to them to try and give themselves a badge for credibility in their organizations or whatever, because they're fairly junior or perhaps not such a high performer, and they're trying to close those gaps, I guess. And I guess you get people who are looking to build their careers and all of that kind of stuff. But actually, there's some really senior people in yours, and some really high performing people, like the scary clients that I actually wince a little bit about working with, because I wonder if I'm going to be able to add any value. When they bring me in to train their people, and I'm like, Christ, am I actually going to teach these guys anything? The support for one another in the network, how your platform works, although I know you're looking to update platforms and things like that, is really very good. And of course, I spoke at your online conference.
You sure
a few
did.
months back, didn't I?
Yeah.
How did
specific performance or the conference itself? The conference was great.
The conference itself. Yeah, don't worry about my bit. That was mixed. But how did the show go this year? Because obviously you've been scaling the thing. You're only 2 years old.
Yeah, absolutely. So we increased our speakers by about 20%. For some reason, we actually increased the number of keynote speakers as well, and I thought that they were really solid individuals. I got to interview Dr. Joseph Guillaume, who was the advisor to President Obama on AI data retention. So just interesting people who have a lot to say. You, of course, brought on Mike Redding from the UK.
A reader, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. He was fabulous. I was a little bit nervous about his presentation, but then when he brought in how important it was to be looking about the aspects of procurement and the value that proposal individuals can bring to municipal government, I thought that was solid. Like, that was a message that everyone in that audience needed to hear. So really, really good work. And actually, when I come out to London, I wouldn't mind buying him a pint or whatever is allowable in the UK parliamentary system. But yeah, so we have had almost a 600% increase in rewatches of that conference over the previous year. So we know, we try to make our conference very accessible. It is all online. And the reason for that is not everyone has the budget to travel. We try to make all of our educational content very accessible as well for that same purpose. So we measure how often people return to the material or are looking at the material. So sometimes registrations, I think that we had something in the neighborhood of 400 or 500 people register, but the actual number of attendees on the day of the event was somewhere in the mid 200s, right? But the number of rewatches has increased from the previous year 600%. So definitely there's been a lot of individuals who are going back to the material, they're seeing it, they're like, oh, now that I have spare time, I can look at this again. So yeah, it went really well, actually. We were very happy with it. And
fantastic. I mean, sorry, go on.
No, you go.
It's just, I was, not to blow smoke and stuff, but genuinely, I was really impressed with the prep for it. So as one of the speakers, I was offered a place in a working group with a professional public speaking coach, and was offered coaching on my speech and on my deck and all of that kind of stuff, which, as somebody that does a lot of this stuff, I kind of thought, well, I'll go along and show a bit of willing with the others.
Yeah.
But do you know what? I employ her as my coach now.
No way.
Yeah. So I have a monthly session with her. So she lives in Colorado or somewhere. So we have a Zoom call 8 o'clock on a Monday once a month, and she's coaching me in. We're going to develop another work stream of the business of me being a public speaker
Yeah.
on youth and business and all of that kind of stuff, but also on the financial freedom stuff I do with Destination Freedom, and it's been an absolute joy. And she is absolutely elite, like terrifyingly good.
I could see you
Really,
as,
really, very, very good. Yeah,
yeah,
Rebecca Mullen,
yeah.
she's awesome. So for your speakers to have that opportunity to prep like that is worlds apart from other things I've seen in similar worlds. So that was among many other things like the analytics and the platform you use and all those sorts of things. That for me, as somebody that puts on events and webinars and things, I learned a lot. Actually, it was really good this year. So
Oh,
thank you for that. I'm sure the members appreciated it.
yeah. Well, I'm really glad you say that actually, because as you know, like that is definitely an expense for us. But there are individuals like yourself who are kind of accomplished speakers and can be taken to the next level. But we also have a lot of people who are just afraid to speak. And we want to get that diversity of voices out there in the procurement world a little bit more. And so the addition of Rebecca was specifically to help people kind of get over their hump of like, do I have anything to say? And she is so good at helping people develop. Yes, you do have something to say. Let's work through how you're going to say it a little bit. And I could see you. I mean, if you really are using her, maybe it's not so long for us to see Jeremy Brin TED Talk.
Funny you should say that.
Yeah.
That's the target we have in mind. I've just had to pause our prep for running up for a pitch for that for 3 months while I sort out a bunch of other stuff in the business. But I'm looking forward to hopefully securing something like that in the future if I'm lucky enough. It's a very competitive market, that space. Obviously, Rin did one very well last year or the year before, didn't they?
In Vegas, yeah.
And a bit of an inspiration. So and I've watched that a number of times. Now I know what Rebecca's approach is and how public speaking works. I can understand how the story unfolds and all that kind of stuff. It's really clever. As somebody who's a professional trainer that spends most days standing up training people, it's fascinating how public speaking is quite different actually, even though it looks a very similar sport. So I thought the preparation of your cast of speakers to do that was very clever. And in fact, I've got a call tomorrow with somebody who's giving a speech at another conference, and they sent me their script, and I just thought, oh yeah, they could do with some time with Rebecca because there's no story, and there's no what she calls a sort of sensual aspect to it. What was it like? What did it feel like? So I've learned a lot about that stuff. So that was really cool. Anyway, we digress, but I should just say I thought that was really cool. So well done, and look forward to next year and all of that good stuff. So
Yeah. So I mean, not to put a pin in it, like I know that we're probably going to go on to what we're doing in 2025, right? Is that sort of the next thing?
beautiful segue. Yeah, go for it. Beautiful
Yeah.
segue.
So it's funny that you talk about the RF conference because on the 15th of January, we will actually be holding our first ever town hall. So a big thing for us is like making sure that the community actually feels like they have ownership over what is happening in this community, and they have the ability to kind of push for things and move things along. And so our very first town hall is actually going to be around naming the theme for this year's RF Win conference, as well as giving some ideas about what they would like to learn, what they would like to get involved in. So yeah, we're taking an opportunity to like really hit up the, oh my goodness, approximately 1,700 proposal professionals that we now have in the community, and getting their ideas so that we can make that conference even better. Because we've got a group of individuals who have agreed to form kind of the basic working community that will form the conference all the way along. And so this will be our first step in getting them the data they need to make that a success. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's very clever. I
Yeah.
like that. Actually, sort of soft market testing or community engagement to actually shape things that people want. Quite clever, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
But not
I
the only
like
thing.
the fact of how you engage with vendors appropriately and all of that kind of stuff. So, well, tell me about that. In 2025, what are you having sponsors of your conference and vendors and all that kind of stuff? Because you hadn't before, had you? I don't know whether you were going to
No.
change.
Yeah, so the conference for the most part has always been paid for by ticket sales, as well as like as well as we make sure that like if we have special education that is part of the conference and everything like that, that is always invested back into the conference and to the speakers themselves. We actually because we're a nascent organization, like we're a little bit fledgling and stuff like that, even though we're financially stable, what we try to do is we, in our speaker's contract, every speaker agrees to, they can either get a payout right at the end of the conference based on the ticket sales for that specific conference, or they can wait, and then we will pay them a quarter of all memberships that we earn over the course of the year. So anything that is done, like, because typically the conference is a big membership driver for us, any memberships that are created out of that process, we will pay to the speakers. Like we will set aside that pool. And the goal, of course, would be to get to the point where we are hopefully pushing across very, very large speaker fees because of that membership growth. So we try to avoid sponsorships. Now, that's not to say like we aren't completely against taking corporate money. Like that is not the idea. We just need to make sure that we always take it very, very carefully because it is very important to us that Pi itself stays relatively product agnostic. That we are willing to, that we are able to say to something, hey, you're not a good product, or yes, you are a good product, and really be able to like put our will behind it. And so with that in mind, we have certain customers have in the past like sponsored specific educational pieces for us. And then, you know, we're very clear, hey, we're going to put your logo on this. You know, it will put like one single marketing link in here, but this does not give you the right to like market to our customers or anything like that. We do have a promotion section in the community where people can like flag things. But yeah, we try to keep it very, very level. Now, with that in mind though, like obviously really, really good education, as you know, because you built it, does require additional dollars. And so we're looking at innovative ways of either investing with corporations or looking at like other methods of like raising those funds to make that happen. But yeah, anyways, that's sort of the idea. So
yeah, well, I appreciate the transparency and the good governance around that because it's super important in running an organisation like yours. That's a very sensible thing or approach to take. So to beyond, so we got the town hall. When was that? 15th of January. Sorry.
yeah, and then we're going to have 3 town halls this year, and they're all going to lead up to an AGM that will be held in the last quarter of the year. And that AGM will be where we have any kind of major votes that have been brought forward by the community, and then the entire community can vote on them. And this will be actual like governing decisions that will be impacting our community, that the community as a whole will be able to take part in. So it's really important to us that we get more involvement this year. Like we have built kind of the general upswing of us on enthusiasm and excitement, and a lot of individuals who are like, I would like to do a better way of doing my job. I would like a better way of existing in this proposal space. But now we want to take it a little bit further. We want people to really, really get involved. And so we're giving these opportunities to touch base with us at certain points throughout the year to really make this happen. So yeah, it's looking like really quite a good year, I think.
That's really cool. Okay. What else is going on in the community in 25 then in terms of content and approaches for the community beyond engagement?
Okay, absolutely. So we have been building a speaker series. So this is something that is both for so the differentiators in our community, we have a free membership and then we have a paid membership. We operate sort of on a freemium model where a certain smaller portion of paid members kind of support like the overall community as a whole. And then for that, we try to offer special benefits to our paid members. So every month, starting in February, we will have 2 special speakers presenting different topics each and every month outside of the RF Win month. So there will be a free one that is offered to everyone within the community. There will be a paid one that is behind a paywall, free to our paid members. Someone can pay for a ticket to get to it and stuff like that. But these are high quality individuals that will like bring additional information to the fore. Last year we had some pieces on how to build your global proposal department. We had individuals who talked around like the challenges of SME management. Anyway, so we're just tasking those individuals, and we'll be announcing those in the month of January with like the lineup of individuals. So, and those will be typically interview format, though some of them will be based on panel format, just like
Okay.
industry experts bringing stuff forward. So yeah, it'll be a nice piece of educational series, and those will be 2 really high quality sessions every single month that we are offering.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Oh, and I forgot, wasn't it? Was it right that if you're a paid member, did you get free access to the conference?
Of course
Sorry,
you do.
or what was the connection?
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So the ticket price for the conference isn't wildly different to the membership price anyway. So you might as well become a member. A paid member was, I think, where it was at, or there or thereabouts, wasn't it?
I feel like you're a better salesperson than our sales team.
It's almost like I do this for a living, mate. I'm not trying to necessarily just push the product, but it's interesting, that approach. Actually, I don't think you charge enough, and I think your freemium model is all very quaint, but I think there's an incredible amount of value you're giving away there compared to conferences in other worlds. So fair play to you. It's incredibly valuable.
Yeah.
Good for you. But yeah, why not become a paid member? So just on the sort of events and things, just for people who are aware of some of the stuff that I used to do, because it's in the back of my mind. I'm likely to rejuvenate my breakfast events that I was running in person in London before the pandemic, which I used to do with Mike Reader.
Yeah.
So we did those quarterly, I think, for a few years. We had a half-day conference arranged and paid for, and then the pandemic came and wiped it out. So it would literally have been I think it was the April that year, and so the shutters came down and killed it off. I don't think I'm going to go that far in terms of trying to arrange a conference. I considered that last year and got let down by some partners and things. So, but I just think maybe twice a year doing one of my breakfast events is probably a thing. 20 quid a ticket or something for non-friends. But I suspect we should probably have the chat about it, Ben. I'm obviously winging it on the spot, but I could probably do free tickets for Pi members, I should think.
Yeah, absolutely. Let us know.
Or something like that, or certainly a discount. So we might try and partner on that for your members.
Well, sure.
Why
Do
not?
UK people like Pi? Like we can sponsor this in some way. Like if you're giving our team free tickets, like let's get some pies into that organization. Like in the UK, you have the proper meat pie, right? Like it's the real deal.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no,
We
it's not just the apple variety or whatever.
we don't
So
do the savory pizzas or savory pies so much here. So yeah, we'll get you sorted.
we'll do a deal. I'll figure that out. But anyway, for my followers, I guess, without sounding too wanky, keep an eye out for stuff on breakfast events and my usual webinars and drop-in calls and all of that sort of stuff next year. I wouldn't call what I do a community or community building. It's but it's something of that sort of flavour. But I think across crossovers with our friends in Pi would be sensible, wouldn't it? So anything else going on in 25 before we move on?
I mean,
what else do we need to know about?
We still have the weekly podcast. We call it the temperature check, and the idea is it's a combination mix of everything that we try to think about what's happening in the industry, things that our community is bringing to the forward. We do some housekeeping items on anything that's happening within Pi itself, and then we try to add an element of the tales from the pitch. So this is. When we bring an expert on or anyone on, we try to hear some sort of humorous or funny story just to add some levity to what we do. So anything from a woman whose GPS betrayed her on the day that a printed bid had to be delivered, all the way up to people who had to poke themselves to keep themselves awake because they'd been working all night on the bid, and they were afraid of falling asleep before the submission was finally done. So yeah, anything we can do to just remind people, hey, we're all human here. This is not world ending, but it is something that you can still have some fun with. So yeah.
Very good. It's good. It's good. maybe a competitor podcast, and probably concerningly for me, probably much better run than mine. So I hope people enjoy that one too.
Yeah. Well,
Really listen to it. There's probably something to do there. So I guess the other thing that we need to announce for 2025 is a new partnership
yeah, let's
between
do it.
My Business, Growth Ignition, and Pi. So as you can tell, we're very excited about this. So I guess I should do the talking on this one to a point, Ben. But
Sure.
it's probably a conversation that's been going on for a while. I've been looking for a new home, I guess, in terms of people to partner with who are the right sorts of partners, the right levels of integrity, professionalism, the right sorts of elite people in the community to work with and partner with. And I'd had a long-standing friendship with Rin anyway, one of your previous leaders, and got me introduced to you and Rochelle, etc. In more recent times. And I've been a fan. I spoke at this conference and the one before from memory. And so we decided that perhaps a conversation about training for your members was in order. I like the fact I was put in my place early doors in that this is not about stealing the march and me being some sort of hardwired training partner for the community. This is the start of a journey of you onboarding official training partners to bring their content for the benefit of the community. I just happen to be the first through the gate, and I think that's the right thing for our discipline. And so we will be looking for more partners to bring on board, and I can help with that process as much or as little as you'll need. But you've got a whole panel of grown-ups as your advisory board and all of that kind of stuff that I've had to satisfy all the due diligence and all of that kind of stuff looking at my content with you guys. So we're announcing a new partnership for My Business Growth Ignition with Pi, giving your members discounted access to our training. And so we will be releasing a page of my website that will be accessible through Pi's community, where your members will be able to access discounted versions of our training. The beauty of it is as well that Pi, we're transparent in terms of the finances on these things and good governance. Some of the money that I invoice or is paid to my organization will be passed back to Pi to support the development of the community and its products, kind of social value, I guess, for our discipline. So you guys are getting a percentage back, and your members will get a bit of a percentage. It will vary depending on different courses and things off, but for the first time, I guess it gives us a genuine share of best practices that are free from sort of influence or entanglement of previous stuff, the legacy in our discipline. It's new, fresh content, fresh pair of eyes. It's going to start off with my fairly standard content, but we're looking to bring in other panel members who are experts in areas like AI. So we'll develop training in areas such as how to be a great prompt engineer, to get the best out of AI. And we'll obviously do a next level of detail in bid and proposal writing, in writing skills beyond my standard theory. So I'm quite excited to see where you guys take it, really, or where we take it as a partnership, and build a kind of collective of hopefully some of the best trainers in the world in this space. It will be, I guess, for the first time, it's equally consumable by Americans and North Americans and non-Americans. So the content is dual purpose, I guess, or able to be used around the world, because I think we'd probably agree, Ben, we tend to find that there's the American or North American market operates as it does, fairly siloed, fairly linear, a certain type of language, and then the rest of the world is different largely, one way or another. So we've got content, we've built the content with that in mind, so it can go both ways. It's not overly American, no, or North American, no offense. And so hopefully we're doing something that's useful, and the right sort of thing to do for the community.
100%. I couldn't echo or like add in or I couldn't support your statements more. And obviously, I hope that you won't mark any of our team down if they use Z's instead of S's, or or in their any kind of like verbal presentation they say aluminum instead of aluminium or whatever. We'll get through those. But
We'll
I,
let
I
them
just want
off.
I just wanted to be like to really highlight. Pi always has wanted to be an educational source inside the industry. Like we believe that the lack of sort of academia in this area is really preventing the industry as a whole or the profession itself from growing. And what we looked at with your organization, Growth Ignition, is honestly a willingness to kind of like look at what is innovative, but with the eye of all your experience, like all of your years and years of experience that allow you to kind of like use the wisdom of those moments to be like, yes, this is innovative, but honestly, there are some problems here. And like sort of sort through those pitfalls a little bit and really help bring a better generation of education to this process. Something that's not like so hidebound that it's not workable in a modern world that like uses response tools and procurement portals, but also something that is not so like untethered that we're just like, yeah, just drop it in AI and let it go, right? Like, of course it'll answer perfectly, right? We need the adults in the room with a careful eye like yourself to say, yes, this is what a customer is looking for. This is what we should be thinking about when we think about disruptive communication or when we think about bid and procurement or tender response. So we are super, super excited about this. As a matter of fact, I will tell you right now, when Rin announced to us that you were interested and that you had said, yeah, we can set up a meeting, like we did virtual high fives for at least 10 minutes. Um,
You bullshitter.
yeah, yeah. No, no, for reals. We were like, no way, no way, no way. Anyways, super, super excited. And we're super happy that you're willing to come on. And honestly, sometimes it is first through the wall, a little bit of messiness and stuff like that. It wouldn't be a proper pie if we didn't half bake it sometimes. So anyways, we're really excited about this relationship and about getting some students in front of your training, getting that information and getting that kind of that cycle going of like, oh, great, this is what you taught us. Hey, Jeremy, this is what they want to learn next. How can you help us with that sort of thing? And like, is it out of your team? Is it out of another partnership that we form, right? And just like building on that to like create an organization that's really helping the profession forward. So yeah,
Yeah,
thank you so
thank you.
much.
No worries at all. So, in terms of the different sorts of training or the catalogue we're putting forward, we're going to launch actually a new bidding basics video training module, which is just a 2-hour webinar in the real basics of bids and proposals. So it's a bids and proposals basics piece. I should say there's no certification. We might, do sort of badges and stuff, but this isn't about collecting certificates. It's about personal development first and foremost. And so we've got that little 2-hour bite-sized bit for people who are starting out, or you could show it to stakeholders who you want to upskill in bidding so they're better at working with you as perhaps salespeople or other SMEs or contributors. So that will be there as the entry level point, I guess. And then we've got our full-blown bid writing training program, which will be accessible as group bookings in the UK, and we will look for partners to deliver that kind of content in the US, and obviously you'll onboard other partners for that market too. We can deliver that online via interactive webinars. It's about 2 days worth of content for 4 mornings or 4 afternoons, I tend to do it as. And there's a video version of the course, which is about 5 hours worth of content in bite-sized chunks, all aligned with our bid toolkit platform that we have. We've then outside of bidding or up the funnel, we've got a capture management program, which is either in video form, a 3-hour video, or again, we can take that as group bookings from corporates. We've got the same key account management training, which we can do as a group booking.
piece, and then a run-off of smaller modules in terms of presentation skills, exec summary writing, that kind of stuff. Oh, and lastly, actually, one that would be of interest that's unique, I think, in the world. We've got a bid team excellence training workshop that we run with corporates, where we'll get the proposals function together for a day and workshop through what excellence and high performance looks like for a bid team, in how they manage bids, how they engage stakeholders, all of that kind of stuff. So particularly how they manage storyboarding sessions and those sorts of things. So it's about getting the best out of others and managing the process more than bid writing, as it were. So that's all up for grabs for the community. The first two, the bid and proposal basics video is obviously accessible for anyone. The bid writing training is accessible via webinar or video course for anyone anywhere, and we can do group stuff in the UK for now, and we'll see where we go from there. But yeah, thank you for the opportunity in the platform. It's great to be able to give back a little bit. Obviously, I'll be getting paid for this stuff, but it's good to be able to give back some of that to the community and have a bit of synergy, really benefit. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, it's going to be great. And honestly, I think that you'll be surprised at some of the uptick. Like we have relationships with organizations. We did some training out in very close to San Francisco early on in our PI, and what we were surprised at is just individuals who are responding to government bids, but like even at the reading or comprehension level of the understanding what the bid was actually asking for, even that was kind of missing. So anything that can do to help people address that gap, I think will get people a long ways. And then you mentioned at the beginning that there are individuals inside our organization that are very high level, and that is great. But internally, inside their chats and stuff like that, they're asking a lot about how do I take my team to the next level? How do we measure quality? How do we actually move our proposal process forward? And so I think, in PI, we have roughly 33% of our membership are entry-level individuals. About 40% are senior individuals with more than 10 years of experience in a proposal function. And so I think a lot of them have just been kind of honestly, just coasting and really looking for a way to upskill their entire department. And I think that the bidding excellence is going to do that. So anyways, really, really looking forward to all of those and seeing people run through them and seeing what develops out of that. So
thank you very much. Well, thank you for the opportunity. So I guess that was the extended sales pitch for today, everybody.
I mean, we had to end. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, important stuff to share. So thank you very much for coming on, Ben. It's been great to hang out, and I'm really excited about the partnership and where we take things moving forwards and how we help grow the community as well, of course, and look forward to catching you on town halls and the RF Win conference next time around. Keep your eyes peeled, everybody. It's the place to be.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Jeremy. Loved being here in the Red Room. So hope that everything is going well.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, take care.